Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt of the corruption of Donald Trump. Proof as to why he's been touting this unproven treatment for the coronavirus. The combination of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. What could possibly be the reason? Well, now we know. Trump has financial interest in hydroxychloroquine manufacturer. New York Times, boom, we got him. This is it. Trump is finally going down. Wait, what's that? It's fake news? It's really bad fake news? It's fake news. Come on, you didn't think it was real, did you? I mean, when I first saw this story, I laughed because I'm like, I know it's fake. What's the catch? The catch is Donald Trump and his associates and allies, or whatever you're going to say, has a stake in a mutual fund, which has a small stake in a company which at one point manufactured hydroxychloroquine, which my understanding is it's available in generic form and it's been around for a very long time. So it's not surprising to anybody. One of the arguments, I guess, we'll read the article, is that you could argue that Trump owns stake in Microsoft, and that's why Bill Gates is coming out and doing all. It's ridiculous. It's another attempt by the media to spin BS when we have real problems to deal with. But for some reason, the media keeps slamming and smearing this treatment. And I got an article I want to show you. It's hilarious. They're like, the right's obsession with hydroxychloroquine. And it's like, maybe it's because it's working for some people. Is there definitive proof beyond a reasonable doubt this treatment is a cure? No. Has the FDA approved it? Yes. Has the CDC said several countries have already begun using this? Yes. Is there evidence from other news outlets that other countries are using this with positive results? Yes. There's no obsession. You're just all insane in the media. Your desperate attempts to make Trump look bad at every single turn, it's obvious and we can all see it. Perhaps once the polls swung in Trump's favor, these people would have realized they're in the minority. I mean, perhaps after Trump won in 2016, they would have realized they've gotten it horribly wrong. But in their mission to tell us what to think, regardless of what is true, they've made themselves look like clowns. Dare I say, this story is the perfect example of social media and mainstream media beclowning themselves. Because it's not just news outlets like the New York Times, and the New York Times isn't the worst in this one. They mention a small financial interest, but these other outlets just run with it and like exaggerate what's really going on. Trump's stake in this company may be as small as $99, as if that's incentive for him to tout this drug. But over on Reddit, on everyone's favorite politically biased subreddit, r/politics, it's the top post where everyone's like, I knew it! The orange man is bad. You're going to love it when I break this one down for you. Let's get started with this little snippet from the Daily Beast. There it is, they say. Oh, is that it? Is that where it is? Interesting. Before we get started, however, head over to timcast.com/donate. If you'd like to support my work, there's many ways you can give. But the best thing you can actually do is just share this video. Help spread the word so my channel can grow. And I mean, honestly, YouTube suppresses content like mine. To varying degrees, they prop up mainstream media, so argue it how you want. But don't forget, hitting that like button really does help. Subscribing and hitting the notification bell makes sure that you'll get these videos when they come up. Thanks for hanging out, but let's read the story for now. Daily Beast. Trump has, quote, financial interest in hydroxychloroquine manufacturer in New York Times. There it is the subhead. President Donald Trump has a small financial interest in the maker of an anti-malarial drug that he has been touting as a game changer in treating coronavirus, according to the New York Times. Over the past 2 weeks, Trump and his Fox News allies have aggressively promoted hydroxychloroquine as a potential cure, despite top infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci and others urging caution and noting that there was not enough evidence of the drug's efficacy. The Times reports the president's family trusts all have investments in a mutual fund whose largest holding is Sanofi, the manufacturer of Plaquenil, the brand name version of hydroxychloroquine. Associates of the president, including Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, have also run funds that hold investments in the pharmaceutical firm. You know what the funny thing about this is? I have some kind of service where you like deposit money and then they invest it for you. I don't, and not a lot. I'm not big on investing or anything like that. But I'm willing to bet Donald Trump has money and he has a wealth management firm that chooses where to put money, where to put his investments. And they chose a mutual fund, which includes a very small stake in many companies, of which one of them at one point manufactured hydroxychloroquine. They're now twisting that into like Trump personally holding a stake, and they're trying to frame it. And of course, people are believing it, that Trump himself is trying to profit off of this. It is fake news. And this brings me to the big problem we have with social media, because I couldn't help but notice The number one post on r/politics today with 6 million subscribers on Reddit, one of the biggest subreddits. If you're not familiar with Reddit, it's basically an online forum. It's one of the biggest social media sites in the world. Here it is with 44.9 thousand points, meaning people are propping it up. Trump has financial interest in hydroxychloroquine manufacturer, New York Times. Most people are going to see the headline. They're not going to read the story. They're not going to get the context because the media doesn't want to give you the context. They want you to see the headline and they want you to believe something that is not true, to misrepresent it. Are you familiar with the dihydrogen monoxide hoax? It's how the media plays this game. I love talking about this. You may have heard me say it before. They'll tell you something like dihydrogen monoxide is a dangerous substance that if inhaled will kill you. And you're like, whoa, what is this? It's everywhere. It's in cancer cells. They use it in nuclear power plants. Oh, gasp. What is it? We must get rid of it. It's water. It's a fancy way of saying water and framing it so that you get confused. That's what they're doing. And it's sad because look at the comments. You know how you know it's true? Because he can pronounce hydroxychloroquine without butchering it. You know, it's really funny. When Trump first mentioned hydroxychloroquine, he was smeared in the media for not being able to pronounce it. Now he's being smeared because he can pronounce it, and they're saying that's proof he's manufacturing it. It's absolutely insane. People saying, oh, it rings true. Here's one. One comforting thing about the Trump White House is that you aren't forced to choose between malice and incompetence. It's always both. Gary Kasparov says one tweet. Here's another one. From wartime president to profiteer in less than a week. At least he keeps it on brand. Not one of these people pointing out, follow Trump's money. It tells the whole tale always. Follow his debt. Is anybody going to point out he has like $99? Oh, now they're saying another company was paying Michael Cohen. Yes, many people with many companies. All right. I hope this gets investigated 10% as much as Benghazi, or 5% as much as Whitewater, or 3% as much as Hillary's emails. It's already been investigated. And you know what the craziest thing is? George Conway, notorious Never Trumper, defended Donald Trump. This nearly made my head explode. Because that's how insane this story is. It's so absurd that even Never Trumper people like George Conway are like, stop this. Are you kidding me? Oh, but we'll get to this. Here it comes. The Huffington Post with their grand story. Donald Trump has stake in hydroxychloroquine drug maker. Report. The president has repeatedly touted the anti-malarial drug as a coronavirus treatment, despite a lack of medical evidence. You see what they're trying to make you believe, right? Like he's only pushing this drug because it is going to make him money. Welcome to the world of fake news. Here's one from the Detroit Metro Times. Trump and associates have financial stake. Yeah, we get it. Here's The Intercept. Untested COVID-19 treatment. Trump talks up can have fatal side effects. Cardiologists warn. Come on, The Intercept. You're usually better than this. You can't go and rag on all of the Russiagate fake news for years and then pump out this trash. Every drug has a side effect. You can't take a sleeping medication without getting a stuffing or without getting a tummy ache or something. We get it. Drugs have side effects. It's why we try not to use them, and we use them when we need to, only when the treatment is what's being relieved is more important than the symptom. Like, let me rephrase that. You might take a medication, it gives you stomach cramps, but maybe it cures something, right? Perhaps you've got a dangerous viral infection, and there are dangerous side effects, but the side effects are not that bad relative to what's actually coming for you. In the story, they too bring up this ridiculous argument. One of the problems with knowing, here's a quote. One of the problems with knowing very little about the Trump family finances, the New York Times columnist Jamal Bowie wrote, is when the president gets fixated on something like hydroxychloroquine. We don't know if it reflects his obsession with quick fixes and miracle cures, or if he's trying to juice an investment. Is that what he's doing? The New York Times reported on Monday that Trump does have a small personal financial interest in Sanofi, the French drug maker that makes Plaquenil. The brand Plaquenil, the brand name version of hydroxychloroquine. In a financial disclosure released last year, the president listed among his assets 3 family trusts that invested in a Dodge and Cox mutual fund, which had shares of Sanofi as its largest holding. And that's it. The Intercept, what are you doing? I normally say, like, I got good, look, The Intercept said that Donald Trump is simultaneously the most honest and most, dishonest president we've ever had. They've praised him for being honest about foreign policy. They've trashed him for domestic policy. They've called out the fake news. But here they are pulling this out of context. Let me show you what's really going on. In this story from Market Watch, here's all you need. Trump's personal stake in the malaria drug maker Sanofi could be as small as $99. Are you kidding me? There's no story here. The media lied. And the only reason I have to talk about it now is because they lied and people believe it. And it breaks my heart, within reason, I guess, that there's going to be many people who it does break my heart that there are people who believe this insane lie about the president. And they do this all the time. It breaks my heart that people won't watch this video. You'll try and share it with them and they're going to say like, no, I don't need to see it. I know Trump's doing it anyway. Yeah. Some people they want to hate the president more than they want solutions. Check out this story from Market Watch. As President Donald Trump has persistently discussed the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine, critics have wondered about his motivation given the drug's far from certain performance on the global stage as a treatment for coronavirus and the FDA's refusal so far to approve it as a treatment for COVID-19. Well, there's emergency use. So the FDA has approved it for emergency use. And we'll get to that. I got the stories pulled up. The New York Times says Trump has a small personal stake in Sanofi, the French manufacturer. The report doesn't say how small, but it notes that his 3 family trusts have investments in Dodge & Cox Mutual Fund, whose largest holding is Sanofi, a fund that matches this description in the Dodge & Cox International Stock Fund, DODFX, which at last check was 3.3 invested in Sanofi. Trump's you see how they also say it's the biggest holding at 3.3%. Oh, so it's tiny, but it's bigger than everyone else. Trump's 2019 financial disclosure lists stakes in family trusts 1, 2, and 3 valued at between $1,000 and $15,000. So if Trump has the maximum $15,000 in each of the trusts, he holds a stake in Sanofi that's worth around $1,485, and at the minimum, just $99. Even at the maximum, that's nothing. I mean, $1,500 isn't nothing, but in terms of like an investment for a billionaire, come on, man, you're lying to us. Now, what else can I say? It turns out he does look to have more than that modest sum invested in Sanofi because unmentioned in the Times report, his trusts also hold broader European stock market index funds. The iShares Core MSCI, has 0.67% of its holdings in Sanofi, and Sanofi is a 0.78% holding of iShares, which is neither surprising nor notable in that the French drug maker is so large. And Trump has a small stake in basically every big company you can think of. In each of the trusts, the biggest fund holding is just the broader SPDR S&P 500 ETF, in which Trump holds between $200,000 and $450,000, according to his financial disclosure firms. So one could say Trump has $22,000 or so invested in Microsoft and nearly as much in Apple. Another point worth making is how little the malaria drug means to Sanofi's bottom line. In 2019, what the company calls Plaquenil wasn't even broken out by name in the company's financial accounts, while 33 other medications were. That is hardly surprising, as the drug has been around since the 1950s and is available generically. A host of other companies are making the medication, including Amneal Pharmaceuticals and Teva Pharmaceutical. But of course, a tiny holding proves Trump is profiteering. Here's Donald Trump Jr. with a response. The same media that has absolutely no problem with Hunter Biden taking $1.5 billion directly from the Chinese government has a problem with that real Donald Trump may own $99 of a stock through a mutual fund that happens to make a drug he's hopeful could work against the pandemic. F you. Of course, Donald Trump Jr. is a little biased, but there's his statement, so you can see it straight from the family. Market Watch shows us that Trump actually has a bit larger holding than just $99, but even still, it's not really that much. And to argue that this company is manufacturing this outright as its largest product or something, it's just it's a total fabrication. It's a game of telephone, so ridiculous. The assumptions made here, just absolutely insane. But of course, the media has constantly been writing negative stories about this treatment, which to me, I understand why they're doing it, right? But it's so downright evil, if you were to ask me. Here's Vox. The evidence for using hydroxychloroquine to treat COVID-19 is flimsy. Why experts say we need clinical trials before using the drug to treat the coronavirus. I assure you, I can go and find an expert in anything to say what I need to hear, what I want to hear. But if you actually go and talk to some of these doctors who have said positive things, then maybe get a more balanced approach. Of course, we need clinical trials. Of course, we're looking at emergency use for the most part. What do? Nothing. Many doctors have said they're using it because what else can they do? And anecdotally, they've seen some positive results so far. Even Andrew Cuomo has said as much. You can tell it's fake news because every single time Trump says it, they screech. And every single time Democrat Andrew Cuomo says it, they don't care. How can both coexist? It doesn't make sense. The media has nothing to say about Cuomo but praise. He says it's working. But Trump negativity? Then you should know they're just lying about the president to make him look bad. This one's my favorite. Salon.com. Behind the right's obsession with a miracle cure for coronavirus. It's not just about Trump. The conservative run on anti-malarial drugs sparked by Trump is also about deep-rooted hostility to public health. Are you serious, Salon? You know what, man? If there's a joke that if Donald Trump came out in favor of oxygen, they would hold their breaths. And it seems like they're actually doing. Another joke is that if Trump cured cancer, they'd somehow spin it negative. Well, Trump has not said it's a miracle cure. He said it may work, it may not. That's a direct quote. And the media has gone into overtime to smear the possibility, to smear the president and this treatment, which doctors are absolutely using. Over at International Business Times, hydroxychloroquine saves lives. Detroit Democrat thanks Trump for the drug he touted for COVID-19 recovery. Now, here we get some real news. I'll tell you what, because if you're a Democrat and you don't like the president, but you're suffering and the treatment works, you're going to come out and be like, thank you for saving my life. I mean, not everybody, but at least some. Michigan State Rep Karen Whitsitt, a Democrat from the Detroit area, began to fall ill and tested positive for COVID-19 on Monday, March 30th. Her doctor prescribed hydroxychloroquine and some other medications. Her symptoms began to ease shortly after. What makes Whitsitt's case unique, aside from her being a public figure, is that she is expressing gratitude to President Donald J. Trump, often viewed as the devil incarnate by the mainstream press and many Democrats. She said during an interview with the Detroit Free Press, it has a lot to do with the president, bringing it up. He's the only person who has the power to make it a priority. When asked if Trump saved her life, the Democratic politician responded, "Yes, I do. I thank him for that." Bravo, madame. You have my utmost respect for just calling it like you see it. It's anecdotal still. There could have been other treatments. Maybe she just beat it on her own. But the fact is, for now, many people are seeing positive results. Many countries are using it. And this Democrat had no problem saying, thank you, Trump, for making this a priority. I respect that 100%. It's not about a conservative or a liberal policy position. Whether this treatment should or shouldn't be available shouldn't be about left or right. But for some reason, that's where politics is going. I thought politics was supposed to be like, do you want more taxes or less taxes? Big government, small government? Do you want social programs or do you want to, reduce taxes and get rid of these programs? All of a sudden now it's like, should we use a treatment other countries should we use this treatment that other countries use? And sure enough, now it's become a tribalist issue. We can see over at the New York Post, medical group endorses anti-malarial drug treatments for coronavirus patients. Here's The Guardian. Controversial drug hydroxychloroquine to be given to coronavirus patients in Australia. Even the Guardian acknowledging countries are doing this. Now, here's one of the most egregious. Nevada governor found hoarding hydroxychloroquine after banning use of the drug. That's amazing. Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak, Democrat, had a knee-jerk reaction to President Trump's optimism about a malarial drug that might be an effective treatment for the Wuhan coronavirus. Trump was hopeful about the drug, so anti-Trump Democrats like Sisolak were against it. Sisolak banned it as a treatment for COVID-19, ostensibly over concern of hoarders stockpiling the medicine and causing shortages for patients who use the drug for other ailments like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. But while the governor restricted the public from receiving the potentially life-saving drug, Nevada's Department of Corrections began stockpiling the drug for prisoners. So maybe that's why they came out against it. They don't want everyone to go buy it before they get a chance to do it, huh? At least that's in one instance. After mocking Trump for promoting hydroxychloroquine, journalists acknowledge it might treat the coronavirus. Well, they got to start coming around at some point. That's the game. That's been the game so far. The media is a month behind where Trump is. They mocked and ridiculed him over his travel ban with China. They kept saying there was nothing to worry about with coronavirus. And then later on flipped around and started accusing Trump of downplaying things. The Democrats who weren't doing anything pertaining to the coronavirus accused the Trump administration of being too slow on this. Well, you know what? I don't think it matters. The public knows better. The fake news is so insanely egregious and obvious that the media is losing their narrative. Zogby poll. Majorities of important swing voters say Trump far more fit than Biden to handle coronavirus pandemic. Maybe it's because Trump said this is a promising thing other countries are using. People had positive results with it. Andrew Cuomo praised it, and the media tried spinning the narrative against Trump, ignoring everyone else. We have this story. COVID backfiring on media. New polling shows Trump thrashing Biden, likely thanks to virus fallout. And this is a Washington Post ABC poll. Trump has moved from what was a 7-point deficit in February to a near tie with Biden today, the Washington Post reported. Among registered voters, Trump is favored by 47%, just 2 points behind Biden's 49%. Absolutely amazing. And now we can talk about, hell freezing over. Amidst all of these polls, Donald Trump doing better than ever, we're seeing some of his harshest critics and people that really don't like him kind of agreeing with him now. Maybe it's because he's not that bad. Maybe it's because in this particular instance, he's actually kind of good. You want to talk about building the wall, his attitude, the people he's mocked, the names, his candor, his character, his foreign policy. I mean, those are discussions for debate, for sure. You want to talk about the coronavirus response? Could he be doing a better job? I honestly don't know. It seems like he's doing all right, and many people agree with him. So we're all kind of on the same page, right? Bolton joins calls for World Health Organization's director's resignation, accomplice to China's massive cover-up. Wow. Criticism of the WHO. That's from John Bolton. Here's one. Donald Trump hints at cutting WHO funding over coronavirus handling, says they really blew it. But how about some of these tweets? This one from Jordan Lancaster. So far during quarantine, AOC and Ilhan Omar agreed with Tucker Carlson. What? Conservatives agreed with David Hague. What? And George Conway defended Trump. The world is ending. I have to agree, Jordan. David Hague said being in the pocket of several million Americans and controlling what they see is a Chinese intelligence agency wet dream. Yes, cancel TikTok. Okay, David Hague. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeting out support for Tucker Carlson. Ilhan Omar saying I am 100% with Tucker Carlson. And then we can see when someone tweeted out the fake news about Trump's holdings in this company. Ian Sam says, wow, New York Times reports Trump himself has a financial stake in the French company that makes the brand name version of hydroxychloroquine. George Conway says he owns some mutual funds that hold Sanofi, and the medication is off patent. The suggestion that this is significant is a huge stretch. Wow. Really? That's kind of surprising, for sure. But of course, people just want to make the president look bad. At a time when we should be taking things seriously. Dr. Fauci says normal life won't resume until 2021 once we get a vaccine. So what's going to happen? We're going to make the vaccine. Trump's going to say, here we go. Dr. Fauci was right. We've got the vaccine. And the media is going to smear and slam him and say he's not doing it right. To me, it's just absurd. How are we supposed to function this way? If everything Trump says is always bad. The joke is that there was a Babylon Bee article, satirical site, saying Trump, an ingenious move, Trump comes out in favor of impeachment, forcing Democrats to oppose. It really is like that, isn't it? Trump should probably start coming out against himself more often. Well, there you go. I don't know if this treatment is the miracle cure. Some people hope it is. There's preliminary findings, but Trump said it best. It may work, it may not, but I'm hopeful. I agree. Many countries are using it. Australia, I believe China is. Cuomo said they've seen positive results. So hopefully we get better data showing that this is confirmed. Or if not, maybe the placebo effect really does help people. I have no idea. But the media's attempt to smear and lie all the time is just frankly tiring. I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around. Next segment will be coming up at 6 p.m. at youtube.com/TimCastNews. And I will see you all there.